You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting right here in absolutely gorgeous Northport, Florida. I've got a really cool guy in the house and a really good friend, Mr. Carmine. How are you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, John. Thanks for having me on.
So how is it's been a few weeks or close to a month since we really talked.
Yeah.
How is Northport Forward making an impact in today's government world of Northport?
Well, we've got our United Tours with the city. We've got one coming up in October this month, to be exact. It's in a private community, Bobcat Trail. So for the folks that live there, they have the opportunity to, find out more about Northport Forward and also talk to the city manager and staff about how the city is being managed. I'd like there for folks if they live in a private community and they would like us to come out to their community and bring the city along to have that dialogue. We'd be more than happy to. You can go out to our website, northportforward.com, and contact us and make that request, and we'll try our best to accommodate it.
You know, I've been to I think one or two of the gatherings, and can you kind of give an overview of what a citizen who's never been part of the community networking that you guys have now set up? Can you kind of describe what they should be prepared for and how they should get prepared to come in to get answers?
Well, we get different folks. We have some of the same folks that come to meetings. There are some that for the very first time. I know the last one we did at the Jockey Club, one resident raised the concern that she's not hearing any news about what's going on in the city. So we try to, what she does, where she gets her news from. Is she, does she have internet? I think pretty much almost everybody does. But, does she rely on newspapers? Does she rely on a TV or radio? And so, there was a bunch of, answers that came across. And, the city is doing a lot to out there to advertise and to bring news to the residents. There's several different ways of doing that, through websites, through apps, the Northport Report app. Also, you can sign up for alerts through Sarasota County and also through the city of Northport. We make, try to do is create an atmosphere where people feel comfortable. Because I know when you tell people that we're having a meeting and the city manager and his staff is going to be there, most people, they have comments, they have concerns, they have some ideas, but they get intimidated in that forum. I know when I go to the city to speak at the podium, it's a little overwhelming. But the city is welcoming all of the residents to come out and to speak. They want to hear from the residents. It helps them gauge how they're doing, and it also helps gauge, what the residents want in their city. So it's been working out well. We've also done what we call our town talks. We had Wade Brennan come down to do mosquito education for the folks, and we've had several outbreaks of malaria here in Sarasota, and a lot of people are asking questions. What's that low-flying plane? And if you were signed up to alerts, they're doing mosquito spraying, and they do this via plane. They do this coming out with trucks, and so it's we advise everybody to get involved. And we know everybody's busy, but there's so many different ways to actually communicate. When you have, even if it's 15 minutes a day, just to go out and look on their site to see what we have, what events we have scheduled. But the next one coming up is the one on the 23rd. And again, that's for a private community. But we are looking to do some in, whether it's the Northport Library, or it's the Shannon Staub Library, or whatever facility we can use. Sometimes we use the firehouses and stuff in Welland Park and such. So look at our website. We redesigned it a little bit to make it cleaner and a little more streamlined, and hopefully that helps. And yeah, those are the things that we're looking to do. Um, the biggest thing, I think, John, the impact, what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to achieve. That comment that resident made about communication. There's I got to thinking about communication, and what winds up happening is, we have a lot of different technology, a lot of different mediums to get news out to people. Standard radio, newspaper, but we also, like I mentioned, we have websites, we have Facebook groups. But the one thing, with all of the technology that's out there, finding is that we are having a hard time talking to one another. And the reason why I say that is because the different technology, the different mediums have been, bombarded with disinformation, and a lot of division. So people have literally, for the myriad of issues that are out there, have aligned themselves on one side of an argument or the other. And I'm not talking about Republicans or Democrats. I don't talk politics. But what I'm talking about is that everybody has whatever the issue may be of the day. So what's actually happened is that if we hear something that doesn't align with what we believe in or what we've aligned ourselves with, the thought process, right away the folks get shut down. And what winds up happening is there is no further dialogue. No, let's work together to understand each other, and let's work together to see, okay, how can we work better at fixing some of the issues and the problems together, because that's what it's going to take. And so our meetings, whether they're town talks or whether they're the United Tours with the city, are all face to face, because we believe that the best tried and true method of communication is face to face. Because you can see, there's the social, not, but you can see when somebody's talking to you, they're looking at you in the eye. You can tell when somebody's lying.
Yep.
You can tell by the mannerisms, the facial expressions, and you get a good sense for the tone of it. Have you ever received a text or an email from a friend or a family member, and one of the first things you do is you read it, then you read it another 6 or 7 times because you're trying to gauge the tone. Is he yelling at me? Is she mad at me? And so the written word, a lot of times, there's a lot of confusion behind that. And what happens is sometimes people draw conclusions that they're mad, and people don't talk for a long time until they wind up coming face to face and out, hey, I haven't heard from you since I sent you that email. Oh, I thought you were yelling at me. No, not at all. So we feel face to face conversations, ask questions, get involved with your city, learn who is the leadership. We have some great people in the city, okay? And, it behooves us all with the defense between insurance companies and builders wanting to come in and build. And, everybody's talking about affordable housing and everything that's going on. Every place you turn, there's new construction. So, taxes are going up, insurance rates are going up. So it behooves everybody to get involved, learn about where you live, learn about what's going on, the current events of the day. So that's what we try to do, is put
And
facts out there.
so I'm gonna throw a scenario at you that often gets played back through the networks of social media. And I'm the attacker of social media garbage that's out there. I we do this show on social media. You do your stuff through social media. These are not the venues that I'm talking about, but a lot of times the misinterpretation of what happens out there in the world uh, really gets all over Facebook and a lot of the other platforms, and it's misinformation. And I don't want to kind of mix those two together, but what I want to point out with what you do, just because you have a partnership with the city, and I'll form this as a question. Does that partnership mean that Northport Forward is the gets the marching orders from the city of Northport?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, um, because first of all, we're doing this because we feel that getting everybody together in a face-to-face, in a comfortable, non-political environment, hearing facts, and by people learning about the city, we feel that that's the best way to go about this. Now, yes, the naysayers, the misinformation folks, everybody, okay, we're the right arm of the city. We get our marching orders from the city. We're an extension, so on and so forth. But I can tell you that's not the case. We formed a partnership with the city to do these meetings because we truly believe in bringing people together, and that's the sole purpose of what we do. Because we're tired of the disinformation, division that's coming out, and the fact that if we keep going the way we're going, okay, that we can't even talk to each other with all these mediums of communication out there, okay, with the latest and greatest technology. What is going to happen when AI comes out? And naturally, AI is like a computer. You have to load software, you have to load data into it, right? That it can make a determination of what you're asking and then spit it out at you at a much faster clip. Well, if it's loaded with all of those same bias, it's just going to compound it even further, and we are not even going to be able to talk to one another. As it is, you see the stuff going on in Washington. You know, both sides can't even talk to each other, can't even get in. And the problem is we keep doing that. You know, in small towns, we have to make a difference here. We have a small city of 86,000 people now. It's we'll have to put a stake in the ground and say enough. You know, let's put facts out there. Let's work together because together we can do much more. So with that, you know, you asked if you know, we get our marching orders or we're getting paid by the city or anything. I can tell you that my millage rate is the same as everybody else's in the city. I'm not getting a break on my taxes because I do the city. My group, the folks that, you know, a lot of us are retired. A lot of us come from different areas of the country, and we feel that we're actually losing that gift to communicate, work together, to solve our problems, solve our issues, and meet at least halfway and try to understand instead of being called a name and then being, you know, dismissed. That's not the way we're going to succeed. So that's pretty much, you know, that's where we are with Northport Forward.
So I've got a quick question. Uh, did you ever consider broadcasting your meetings live so that those who can't attend in person are able to participate? And I think
Yes, that's
we're getting some feedback, and I think it's actually on your end, Carmine,
it
where
probably
I
is.
when
I've
I talk.
actually, you know, with all the money that I'm making working with the city, I can't even afford an updated computer. So, no, but Robin, I agree with you. We are that we've actually done a meeting that we've broadcasted where it was at the Art Center where we collaborated with the Art Center, and we did record it. We are working on trying to raise funds so that we can get the equipment so that we can do podcasts and that we can record some of these meetings so that we can actually reach a greater audience. That to us is key. I mean, it's we get audiences of 50 to maybe 80 to 100 people at different times, and with 86,000 people, we do it throughout the city, whether it's in public places or in the private communities, to ensure that we can reach everybody. But having, you know, a way to broadcast this and put it out on Northport Forward on the Facebook page. The last time we did that with the Art Center, I think we had about 400 views. So that part of it is important. I do post stuff out there on Nextdoor, and there's a lot of, I guess, mixed emotions about some of the stuff. But I think the last one that we put out got about 2,700 looks. So people are looking at the stuff. We're getting more and more people that are signing up to Northport Forward Facebook page, viewers. So we are definitely considering broadcasting the meetings to reach a far greater audience.
I know I haven't pulled up, but when is the next event?
The next event is October 23rd at Bobcat Trail. But again, that is a private community. It's for the residents there only. We're looking at scheduling some stuff in November, December, and also in January of next year to try to have them out on our calendar so people can be aware, and then they can pick and choose which one they want to attend.
Do you think that that one could be live on the air?
I think so.
And I'm just going to ask. I'm going to be bold and ask you this: is there anything I can do to help you get that done?
With your background with the broadcasting and stuff, that would be a tremendous offer from you if you would be able to come. The meeting starts at 6 o'clock. It usually lasts about an hour. I usually talk for a good 5 minutes, maybe sometimes less than that, because I want to focus on what the city manager has to say. He'll do a short presentation. It's a lot different than what we did last year with the meet and mingles. Now the presentation is shorter, and he wants to spend more time with a question and answer session from the public so that they get the information that they need. He can put out the information so that everybody understands how the city is being managed and what direction we're actually going in. So if you would be so kind, we would certainly welcome, that being recorded. Absolutely.
All right. So I got a couple things going on that week. I'm not going to be here, but here's the beauty is you and we're going to meet this week and we're going to finalize what I need to set up for you. And we will make that happen, Robin. I think that's a great idea. I'm so happy. I can stream it, no problem. I can give you capabilities to help me, and I've got an extra camera. Okay. And we should be in great shape for that. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
So great idea, Robin. I appreciate you watching. So we will make that happen. So we'll be streaming that live. And I'm truly sorry about the feedback because I'm going to help you with that too, Carmine.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get that set up. But
thank you.
I want you, because I'm getting the feedback and I don't want to lose people. Talk about the value of people's insight to Northport Forward in these meetings.
The value is again, the city wants to hear from the residents. Northport Forward wants to hear from the residents. We want to know, some of the issues that are going on. I know a lot of people are complaining about, the issues that we just had this past week with all the rain and the collapse of the roadway on Price Boulevard.
Yep.
There are so many different things that are going on. There was, we did a couple the last month or two where we wound up talking about the increase in some of the fire for the assessments for the unimproved lots, because we've had some fires off of Toledo Blade and stuff like that, and because of all the brush and so on and so forth. So we try to put that information out there. We try to even communicate with the city, good pulse as to what's going on as well, because they see comments. They're out there on Facebook as well. They're out there on Nextdoor. They're out there on LinkedIn. So they hear some of the comments and see some of the comments as well. But we try to pass along some of that, so maybe it can be incorporated into the presentation. We also, Robin, you mentioned something about in advance. Yes, we do that. We ask people when they are able to sign up for our meetings, like if they're in public places. We usually put it out on our website, and we usually ask them to provide a question or two so that we can have it where the city manager can respond to it or the city staff can respond to it. Sometimes we take questions that we feel were very important at a previous meeting, and we'll re-ask that question because we have a different audience. Okay, so we just want to get the word out. That's what we are about, is getting the word out to the different folks. So I appreciate your comment, Robin. Thank you. Um, Working with John, we'll be able to accommodate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely get it done. And the beauty in one, the beauty in having listeners like Robin. Robin actually participated in a show a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic to have her part of the show that highlighted some of the new things that Northport's going to do, and that truly is the essence of what Northport Forward is highlighting the new things that are coming in, educating on what's already established. And there's a lot of changes happening within Northport, and they're going to continue to change. Uh, I want to stick though just for a second because I read some comments throughout the social media sites that the city of Northport didn't do a good job again with 5.5 inches of rain, which is, I tell you what, if you're in the city of Northport and you get, or no, I want to say Northport so bad, if you're in New York and you get 5.5 inches of rain in 4 hours, New York isn't going to do well.
No,
There's just not a whole.
and
Go
actually
ahead.
from some of the pictures, there was water coming down the subways. The streets were filled with water. I mean, it's been a mess up there. Um, Price Boulevard is slated to be widened, breaking ground, and I believe in 2024 to widen the roadway. And I know that come with the widening, they're going to be laying down, sewage and water and so on through there. So that should help with some of the flooding. And as we've seen with Hurricane Ian, okay, um, the amount of water that's come through, especially with Ian, had eroded, some of the roadways and stuff
Yep.
as water passed through it. The city did a remarkable getting that up quickly, as they've done this past week. I think it might have been 4 or 5 days tops where they've
Right.
actually fixed this roadway. Now, they this was not in the same place that it was fixed before. This was a different place, albeit it's in the vicinity. But the bottom line is that with the construction that's going to happen, um, this is a temporary fix because that whole structure needs to be re-engineered. Okay, and that's gonna add to the cost of doing the widening, which we didn't know until Ian hit. Okay, so as citizens, we do a lot of reading, we do a lot of research, and Northport Forward does that so that we can understand what's going on and we can let people know instead of everybody going off in mass hysteria that the city's doing an absolute horrible job and they're not doing what they're supposed to and we're paying all these high taxes, blah 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 blah. The bottom line is that and I keep hearing on the news that we're still below the normal rain rate for this time of year. And as I drive through a lot of these communities, my own included, these ponds are right up to the watermark, maxed out. Okay, so we've actually had. I mean, it's we make fun of in the afternoon. It's called the afternoon car wash. We've been getting a lot of rain, so the ground is already saturated. And then if you get 5.5 inches of rain at one particular time,
Right.
there's consequences. Yeah, look, Northport is based on septic and well, and we have a lot of, areas where the water, the swales and stuff, that the water goes to certain creeks. get fed into the Gulf. Um, this is the way it was developed in the early 60s by General Development Corp. And, you know, uh, unfortunately, there wasn't a lot done through the years that we should have addressed maybe some more of this and maybe bought, you know, some land on either side of different things to create and maybe run some sewer and water. I don't know. You know, I'm not an engineer. I don't know. I wasn't living here back when. I'm here 10 years, but I see dramatic improvements. And I think when Price Boulevard is completed, I know people have been waiting for a long time. The can just kept getting kicked down the road. But I think you'll see the roadway re-engineered so that when we do have significant rain or we do have another hurricane, and hopefully we don't see the likes of an Ian for 20 or 30 years from now or ever again. But I think we'll see a major difference. You know, the city's committed to talk to these people, and that's the beauty of our meetings. Is you talk to the staff. I mean, the folks are committed. The folks are doing a good job, and sometimes their hands are tied. You know, you've got developers, you've got the state. I mean, I can name a few things that are going on now with you know, people. The buzzword of the day is affordable housing, and a lot of what's going on in Tallahassee. You know, the land grab that they proposed with the Live Local Act. You know, the city has a strategic plan in place where the goal is to grow the commercial tax base. Why? People want to know why. Well, because it helps balance the budget, it helps balance the tax base so that us residents don't have to bill for everything that's going on in the city, all the repairs, all the work. And with more and more people coming in, that's only going to get even more exacerbated.
So I'm going to stop you just for a second because I know you're on a roll, but uh, talk about the state and how the state implementation of their plan into what we do as a city actually can make the taxpayers pay more money if we don't have a better structure.
Absolutely. The Tallahassee voted, the governor signed it. It's called the Live Local Act. And what it's saying is if that you have some light industrial land and commercial land, that it should be earmarked for affordable housing. So with that, the more housing you get, and I'm sure everybody's heard this before. Some people believe it. Some people think it's a waste of time. But the truth of the fact is that the city services that they provide are not fully covered by the residential taxes that are being paid. So if that's the case, and we just keep putting more and more residences in, what that means, we will now have a need for additional staff, which comes with salary and benefits. We will be building more schools. Okay. Actually, we'll have more traffic and stuff, especially with, you know, they want to do a lot of high density. Okay. Trying to address the various needs of for housing. But what tends to happen is we building homes, the bills aren't being paid with the services provided, new people are being added on the staff and stuff. That's got to be paid for somehow. And who pays for it? We all do in our taxes. So our costs will continue to go up. And especially at this time with inflation, with what's going on with the insurance company, waiting right now for my renewal policy. And I've got Progressive, and I've been hearing people say that their premiums have been raised $2,000 on top of what they were paying. And they did not submit a claim in maybe 10 years that they've had it. So we're getting bombarded there. We're getting bombarded with the tax. We're getting bombarded with normal inflation and now the excuse of supply chain shortages. Everything costs more. How much more can the residents take? How much more? And you know, the city, they don't have a printing press. We are their printing press. Okay, we pay the taxes to help support the growth of the city. So we have to be smart. That strategic plan looms very large. We need commercial. we need light industrial, we need office, professional, and institution. We've got a hospital going in. Okay, there is, one of the things that I do as a private citizen. This has got nothing to do with Northport Forward. Okay, this is me. When I see a development come in or an applicant come in and want to rezone area like off of Pocatello and McKibben, off of Sumter, that is in the middle of a single family development, okay, that actually got flooded out by Ian, and they want to change the zone. They want a special exception to change the zone from OPI, which is office, professional, and institution, because they want to build luxury apartments, because the thought process is, well, the doctors need to live someplace. Okay. Well, first of all, if you got Sumter being with a hospital being built, wouldn't that be a great place to create that medical corridor? And instead of putting luxury apartments, because I'll tell you what, the doctors are not going to want to live off of McKibben. They'll probably wind up going to Welland Park, okay, if anything. But the bottom line is, wouldn't it be better to have occupational physical therapy, surgical convalescence and recuperation? Because let's face it, insurance companies are not going to allow you to stay at the penthouse for an extended period of time because they have to pay for it. They'll move you to a less costly location. So we need those types of things. Okay, we have a young population, but there's a nursing home right in that vicinity. There's also a nursing home right near where the city is. We need this as well. Okay, some of the population is older and is going to require that in future years. So we got to be smarter. And I've gone and spoke out against things like Pocatello development. I've spoken out against just recently, I think it was last week, where corridor off of 75 and Toledo Blade, north of Toledo Blade. They calling it Innovation Corridor. It's supposed to be a business park, some light industrial, commercial. There are 3 developments proposed for that area. One of them, Northport Gardens, will contain a 450-bed hotel. It will have some light industrial. It will have some commercial. And it's going to have 1,135 mixed-use homes. By that, I mean some single family, some multifamily, so on and so forth. The next one, Toledo Village, is pretty much piggybacking off of the fact Port Gardens is going to be creating and have a lot of, what do you want to call it, industrial, commercial area. So they're coming in and they've proposed initially 2 acres in 2 different locations for commercial, one off of Toledo and one a little further in. And commissioners spoke out, and okay, so now we got 5 and 5. We got a total of 10 acres in a village. They're creating, this is called a village. And they are going to be putting in almost 100 mixed use homes. Okay. So I question if we're growing commercial tax base and bringing skilled jobs. And oh, by the way, running sewer and water to that. The city has received a grant of, I think, $1.7 million. And the stipulation is that it needs to grow about 947 jobs. Okay. So there's another development going in called Toledo Blade 320. That's got some light industrial right off of Toledo Blade. Now, the problem with that is that there's a non-disclosure agreement that was signed. We don't know what the light industrial it is, okay? Plus, there's probably going to be about another maybe 900 homes, depending. There's a lot of wetlands there. They say there's about 126 acres of wetlands. So, based on either 3.5 per acre or 15 per acre, anywhere in between that to be anywhere between 900 additional homes. So for a business park, light industrial business park setting, you're going to have 6,500 homes there. So what that is, makes me cringe because we are going to have homes that the city's going to have to support, provide services. The services aren't fully covered, so guess what? We'll all be the tab to help pay for that, the difference. And my thought process is if you're sticking to growing commercial, then have a plan and stick to it. And if that whole thing should have been nothing but commercial and industrial, put an ice skating rink in there, put a IMAX theater in there, put a venue where you can have food trucks and have music, okay, outdoor music, do at Lashley Park, okay, in Port Charlotte. There are an abundance of different things, some nice restaurants. The hotel is a good thing to have. We get bed tax and whatnot. I'm sure probably Cracker Barrel would wind up coming too, because they're usually next to a hotel. But that's my sticking point, me personally, because we're all getting bombarded with all of the costs and all the outside interference, especially our own state government, where now you're taking literally our strategic plan of growing commercial and you're hijacking it because the city has nothing to say about it. The commissioners, I think it's how to vote if there are lands that are going to be affordable, and the public certainly has nothing to say about it. But yet we're going to be paying for it, like everything else. It's always on the middle class's back, so to speak.
So I'm gonna kind of slow this just a tad, and I want to stick with voices. There was a song by Barry Manilow, One Voice, and anybody who knows Barry Manilow and listens to that song understands that there are more voices that get put into that song. Well, that's what we have to encourage here. We actually have to encourage people to get their voices in. Robin, Peter, Chuck English, all these people, they are getting their voices in. And here's the funny thing. I love the fact that the the voices that we have coming in are diverse. Not everybody agrees, but you know what? There's no hate in some of that. That's okay.
Yep.
Compromise has to happen and growth has to happen. When the state makes a decision, they stomp on voices, and so there isn't a lot of choices. So it limits what we must do in order to compensate for the choices we didn't have. So can you talk a little bit about that?
About voices?
The
Sure.
voices.
Yeah, there is a group in the estates, and it's called the Toledo Blade 320 group. They've had several meetings. They're going to be meeting again because that was voted 3-2 to move forward to the second reading. Okay, and it was done that way because we need more information. So with the second reading, there are some follow-up things that the applicant must come forward with. I think there's a traffic study. I think there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not involved with planning and zoning. I've been to 1 or 2 of the meetings and stuff. I mean, they've got their hands tied also because, what's in our ULDC, what's in our comp plan really allows for these developers to come in, and they've been coming in now through the woodwork because the taxpayer is running sewer and water up to that area up there. So they didn't come in and say, yeah, we'll run this. Okay. The minute they heard that the city is doing it, okay, right away, they're coming in out of the woodwork. And the voices, the folks up there in the estates have put together a great presentation. They've come to talk civilly to people to get their points across. And it's not just, the NIMBY bug, okay? Not in my backyard. And I don't want it there because I don't want it, and I don't like the way it looks. It's an educated thought process that they've gone through. They've examined ULDC, comp plan. They've looked at things from the state. It's a well thought out. It's civilized, and it convinced two of the foreigners to not vote for it. Not and so with the second reading, with additional information, and I think one of the biggest sticking points is the fact that I think it was the Toledo Blade 320 project, that it's we don't know what kind of light industrial it's going to be, and it's going to be right off Blade, which a lot of the folks in the estates could be looking directly at it. And I don't know about you, but I know for myself. Okay, I came down here 10 years ago, and I looked at different places. Okay, I looked at Grand Paradiso, I looked at Bobcat Village, I looked at a few more developments, and then on the development that we're in off of Toledo Blade. And I chose to live here because I like the fact that I've got, preserved woods behind me. Okay, I like the fact that it's quiet. There's nothing industrial right on top of me, and I'm not staring out my backyard or out my lanai looking at a 4-story building. And I really feel for the residents of this city, where, like on Kenville, off of Toledo, there's a residential single-family development, and in the middle of it, there's, I think, maybe 11 or 12 acres, maybe more, maybe 17, right smack in the middle of it. It's like a circle within all the single-family homes. They want to stick multi-family homes in there. Now, that's a disruption of life. That's a disruption of that everybody has come to expect. And I really, I don't. It bothers me. It really does bother me. And so I do speak out as a citizen. Got nothing to do with Northport Forward. Okay, with Northport Forward, we just put out the facts and leave it up to the individual to make the decision. But certainly voices that are civil, that are constructive, okay, can make a difference. We need to let our commissioners know that bought into the talk about growing commercial and bringing jobs here. There was the Camoin study, which said 90% of the residents leave to go to work someplace else and spend residual dollars somewhere else. So the city has made an investment to put water and sewer in, and on both Toledo and Sumter. Since they decided to do that, now we're getting a hospital. Okay, now we've got all this land out there north of Toledo and 75 with what's supposed to be an industrial business park to bring jobs. Okay, but our voices, collective voices, done constructively and done civilly, get your point across, can make a difference. And we must, and the city actually has invited people. That's why we did the meet and mingles last year, and we're doing the unity tours, united tours now, is because they want to hear from the residents. And some residents come out and don't say anything, and there are others who do. And we try to have other questions so that there's a conversation and there's some Q&A, and people can learn. But yeah, it's I mean, we've got to start, even in a small city like this. We've got to start letting our voice be heard.
And one of the best ways, and we've got about 10 minutes left, one of the best ways to get your voice heard is to attend some of these meetings that are out there, educate yourself, and then spread that information. But the next Northport United Bobcat Trail, that's going to be a private because it's a gated community. But we're going to broadcast that live on the air. That's going to happen, and I think that's going to actually start to connect the residents together with Northport Forward better too.
I believe so. We did, like I said, we did that with the art center, and we did put it out on Northport Forward Facebook page, and we did get, I think it was over 400 views. So people liked it. People commented and said thank you for doing this. So it's a question of getting the right equipment and the technology to be able to do this, and more importantly, the know-how. Okay, I worked a little bit with Marie Labrosse. Okay, and I did sign up. So I did the one at the art center, but I recorded it. I didn't do it live. And then we wound up putting it out there. We sent it to the art center so that they can put it out there as well. But had to do that because yes, we definitely want to get the word out, and if we can do it each time to a greater audience, that certainly helps us. But more importantly, it helps our residents because they need to get the factual information, and it helps our city because they will hear from the residents in a constructive and civil manner so that we can move forward.
Well, we're going to build our partnership stronger. Real Talk Radio, WKDW, and Northport Forward. I want to try to work with you to get some of this stuff broadcast in a much more better in a better fashion, much more better. But you can tell I've been around my granddaughters for the last week, so
Yes.
everything's much more better when you're talking to 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds.
Yep.
So here's the thing. People need to have, and I'm sorry about the feedback, and we're going to get all that corrected in the real near future. But everybody needs to do their research, do their homework, decide where their heart and their head can rest the easiest, and then get involved. We're not asking for multiple hours. Robin has a crazy schedule, but she's involved. Peter has a crazy schedule. He's involved. Carmine, you don't do anything other than Northport Forward, do you? You don't have a life outside of Northport Forward, do you?
No, the funny thing is, I came down here with my wife 10 years ago, and I was still working. And we figured let's prepare for retirement, and I might look to retire November of 13, maybe by June of 14, or even maybe by December of 14, and enjoy the quality of life here in Florida, the weather, and just partake in all the activities in the community and such in our development. And so you know, come February, the following company is doing resource actions, which means they're laying off people. And so after 37 years, I got laid off, and I felt a sigh of relief when that happened, but also I had one of those gotcha moments, like, okay, I hope I did enough planning, and I hope that. And so the bottom line is that coming down here, it took a while, 6 months or so to what do they call that? To just kind of calm down because it's the hustle and bustle, the meetings, writing meeting minutes and all of the work and stuff that you have to do for. Once that happened, we did a little bit of travel, and then we wanted to do more. We wanted to give back. And so we started meeting with a group of people, and we met at different locations, at the libraries. We met at the Old World. We were talking about things like, what do we want to see in Northport?
Yep.
Because every place that we, 10 years ago when we came here, you either had to go to Venice or Sarasota, or you go to Port Charlotte or Punta Gorda for some activities, for different meals and different restaurants and such. And we said, well, what can we do here? So, that we would have 40 people and everybody was interested in, uh, putting something out there, especially on 75 and Toledo. People talked about movie theaters. People talked about a myriad of different things. So that kind of, developed into what we want to do is in a non-political, because we're tired of all the innuendo that's out there, the disinformation, misinformation, and mostly vision. We are so divided today that we can't even talk to one another, like I said earlier in the show. And so that's our goal, is to, even if it's a small group of people at a time, could be one-on-one, could be on the radio here. I don't know, people are actually on watching. It could be at our meetings, it could be at our town talks, or it could be where we collaborate with young professionals or the arts center, or even the chamber, and talk about what it is that we do. And even if we reach one or two people at a time, or maybe a room of 30 or 40 or 100, every bit that we do adds up. And we're trying to get away from, where civilization, the art of having a conversation, just becomes, like the dinosaurs, just gone, pretty much.
Yep. We got 2 minutes left, and I actually put the words up there to One Voice. That song was done by Barry Manilow, and I don't know why you made me think of that. It was one of my favorite songs to listen to anyway. But if you read the lyrics that are there, we everyone, Robin, Peter, Chuck, you, all the commissioners, all the citizens that are speaking out, they're all singing about our city in one way or another.
Absolutely.
And drawing some voices together to give empowerment to the people is truly a refreshing thought in a country that seems to be forcing divide and
Yeah.
conquer. I hate divide and conquer. I love the working together. I love having adversaries on the other side that are willing to listen, and I'm willing to listen. Robin's taught me a lot. Peter's always taught me a lot. I've now sat down with every commissioner and found every one of them engaging, and they all have their own opinions. They're all good friends. Here's the beauty of good friends in powerful positions. I don't ever get 100% of what I want either. I know Robin feels that way. I know Chuck feels that way. I know you feel that way, Carmine. But that working together draws everybody together, makes a stronger community. And a community with unity is that one voice getting started and just drawing people together. So I appreciate you being part of the show.
My pleasure. I like this, and this is called Just One Voice by Barry Manilow.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It's very poignant in what it is that we're trying to do. And
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like that shampoo commercial. You tell two people and they'll tell two people, and so on and so on. This is going back. But I think a lot of us on the show today understand what that is. But we definitely have to come together, because it's not getting better. It's literally getting worse. And if we don't get our identities back as to who we are as Americans, and how look at the Industrial Revolution and how we solved problems, and how we went to other countries and solved problems. Okay, I know people that have gone to France. Okay, and the French people were literally kissing their hands. You're American. Your grandfather served. He came. He liberated us. Okay, we got to get that back. We've lost it with all of the misinformation and all the division. Okay, one of the biggest things we got to get back. We got to get our media back on track.
Okay? Absolutely.
Because I understand why people are frustrated. They can't get the accurate information, because you listen to this channel, you listen to that channel, you don't know which end is up. So I'll end it there.
Well,
I talk a lot.
Listen, it's great. I want to have you back on. I think it's going to be a great thing to have you back on in the really near future because all the things that you highlighted now, things are going to develop when within that whole conversation.
Awesome.
So I will we'll schedule you out. We'll get it done.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Carmine.
having me on. Thanks for
You're
everybody who's
welcome.
watching.
Thank you. This is John Rawlings with WKDW Real Talk saying thanks. Have a good night and join us on Friday. Look forward to another great conversation. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.